The story I want to share here about Daniel Radcliffe is not just about introversion, it is about emotional resilience. Daniel Radcliffe has been navigating stardom since he was 12 as the face of Harry Potter, and he has spoken openly about the difficulties of navigating fame and how it affected his mental health. He's shared in several interviews that he struggled with the pressure and the lack of privacy that came with becoming worldwide famous at such a young age. He felt constantly judged, watched, and compared, and the scrutiny really became overwhelming. And as an introvert himself, that definitely did not help him. In order to cope, Daniel admitted turning to alcohol as a way to escape and as a way to manage his anxiety.
But you would feel watched when you went into a bar, when you went into a pub, and then, in my case, the quickest way of forgetting about the fact that you were being watched was to get very drunk.
And we know that's the case of many celebrities. However, what stands out here is that he eventually chose sobriety and began openly speaking about mental health, identity, and the struggles of navigating fame in a very honest and transparent way. That honesty, reflection, and growth is a powerful form of strength, not the loud kind, but the respectful and steady kind that comes from within. So here are 4 ways that Daniel Radcliffe can inspire you today. First, he does not let labels define him. Daniel has said that he gets very anxious before interviews and performances, and he also mentioned that he gets very stressed in public places like bars and pubs.
It's the classic thing, if you can go through 100 comments and if 90 of them are great and 10 are shit, you remember the 10 shitty ones. And then you also internalize those 10 shit comments and assume that that is what everyone is secretly thinking when you walk into a room.
But despite the anxiety, he has been showing up anyway. And that's what resilience is. It is not the absence of fear, but it's about feeling the fear and doing the things anyway. Daniel has also been living with dyspraxia, a neurological condition that affects coordination and fine motor skills. He's been really open about how it impacted his self-esteem growing up, where tasks like writing, coloring in lines, or even tying his shoelaces were very, very frustrating. Combine that with introversion and the social pressure of childhood stardom, with every eyes being on you, and it's clear that he faced some serious internal hurdles. Daniel mentioned he's always had a lot of nervous energy and trouble in focusing, which may derive from the dyspraxia and give him this hyperactive presence that you can probably sense. Despite the anxiety and managing his mental health, he's been thriving and really following his own path. And while I was researching interviews for this video, what really struck me is that Daniel is always showing up in a very animated and enthusiastic way.
Gave like a gift out to all the crew and
I know that Rupert gave you something, though.
Yeah, Rupert gave me a trumpet, which he had self-engraved. I don't play the trumpet.
You can feel and see that he's happy to be here. And even if he's anxious, he puts that on the side and he focuses on the situation at hand. He comes off as being really, genuinely interested in a conversation and wanting to contribute to it, which really shines a light on his friendly and open nature. So, what I want you to take away here is that your diagnosis or struggle does not define you. And in a world in which we tend to put labels on people and in which people tend to label themselves, then I think it's very inspiring. And there's that sense as well that Daniel Radcliffe doesn't take life too seriously and doesn't take himself too seriously, which is a really charming quality.
Let's imagine, say you got offered Bond in 5 years' time. Well, hold on, what are you laughing at? Say you got offered Bond.
It's a perfectly reasonable thing, I'm very suave.
And maybe it is about all the struggles that he's been through that he made this very conscious choice of not taking things too seriously. Secondly, he is self-aware and emotionally honest. Vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. And we bond and connect with people thanks to vulnerability. And that's a place where Daniel became very good at. Honesty and transparency.
Part of the thing is the expectation that you should just be delighted all the time. You know, you have a great job, you're wealthy, you don't have a right to ever feel sad or to not be like excited about the whole thing all the time. And I think that's a pressure as well, because if you suddenly start to feel like, man, if I am just feeling some human emotion of sadness, does that mean I'm doing this wrong? Does that mean like I'm not good at being famous or not good at, living my life?
So when things are not easy for you, remember that you get to talk about them. You get to be self-reflective. You get to dig into what's happened to you or what's happening to you. You don't have to hide it. This actually gives you a high level of relatability. So I'd love for you to give yourself the permission to really express all of those aspects of yourself and to express what you're going through. Because if you maintain a glossy and perfect appearance, then you're not going to be as relatable. People don't relate with perfection. So keep it real. I think that's really what we can learn from Daniel here. Number 3, he doesn't hide his quirks. Your uniqueness gets to be a strength. As an introvert, or if you struggle with social anxiety or a negative image of yourself, you may unconsciously hide your personality and your quirks, which would actually make you charismatic and charming. And I'm linking my Johnny Depp video here because being charismatic while being introverted and quiet is something that I address in this video.
There's antimony, arsenic, aluminum, selenium, and hydrogen, and oxygen, and nitrogen, and uranium, and nickel, neodymium, neptunium, germanium, and iron, americium, ruthenium, uranium, europium, zirconium, lutetium, vanadium.
Daniel never tried to fit the Hollywood mold. He took on indie projects, really followed his own creative path, he embraced the weird, and he really stayed true to himself. And I saw many comments online saying how charming he came off as, and that he really brought something very refreshing. So remember, own your quirks. 4th, he uses his fame to lift others up. Similarly to Emma Watson, Daniel often uses his privileged position to put the spotlight on other people. He uplifts his co-stars, he highlights indie projects, and he supports social causes, like supporting the Trevor Project, which enables a conversation with the LGBTQ community. Daniel also supported Emma Watson's gender equality efforts, saying, I quote, I think it's fantastic that she's bringing attention to it and adding to the conversation. He's also been a big supporter of his former stunt double on Harry Potter, David Holmes, who became paralyzed because of a stunt accident. And Daniel has always been there to really pull him up and support him and praise him and make sure that everyone knew that he would never have been Harry Potter without him. So all in all, Daniel comes across as a really kind, authentic, and enthusiastic person who is truly animated by their craft. He is proof that you don't have to be free of struggle to be successful. Whether it is openness about his life challenges or the way that he paves his own creative path, Daniel shows us that embracing who you are, quirks and all, is what truly allows you to shine. And the message I want you to take away here is that you don't have to fix yourself in order to show up in the world. Show up now as your imperfect self, your messy self. It doesn't matter. It's about showing up with all of those different aspects of yourself. But to do that, of course, in order to feel safe doing that, we need to do the inner work, right? In order to make sure that we accept the different aspects of ourselves and that we don't judge them. But there is no fixing to do. You can already show up. And you'll discover how charismatic and free you actually are. If this resonated with you and you'd like some support with building your confidence and climbing your place in the world, start with my free meditation to unlock inner confidence and release anxiety. I've linked it below in the description box. That's really going to help you. And let me know in the comments what your biggest takeaway was from this video, what inspired you the most, and if there's a celebrity, an introverted one, that you'd like me to analyze next, let me know in the comments as well. I love reading you. I will see you in the next video, and I'm sending you much love. Bye.